Hi everyone and welcome back to another cello technique lesson. In today's lesson we're gonna cover study number 24 by the great cello method by Feuillard, which is called Studies of the Young Cellist, which is a method that everybody should have in their library. This study number 24 is a very simple study. It's for the right hand, so in other words, for the bow. So we're gonna go point by point on what you need to pay attention, and then, well, the rest is up to you. If this is the first time you're here on this channel, well, welcome. I'm Ilia Laporev cellist, and on this channel I produce cello technique tutorials as well as play along videos. Time by time I post a high quality video, and sometimes also I post cello tips and tricks. If this is what you want or are looking for, well, then consider to subscribe. Okay, now let's see what this exercise is about. What an annoying exercise. Well, anyway, forget what I said. Anyway, it might be an annoying study, but it's a very good study for bow control. Alright, so first things first. So the first thing here, what do we see in the beginning of the score? So under the first note, there's a letter written, right? And here, in this case, it's written a letter M. M, what does that mean? If you have watched my other tutorials, then until now you're supposed to know what that means. If you're new here, no problem. M means middle of the bow. So this is this exercise about. You have to play everything at the middle of the bow here. So that's why we have to start over here, right? So I don't want to see you starting here at the frog or at the tip. So not here and either here. No, so middle. If Feuillard wrote middle, then he wants middle. So here, really like calculate very well. Sometimes it's difficult to control by yourself, like, am I really playing in the middle or not? Why is that? Why sometimes we cannot control that? Especially if you are a beginner, because you're probably gonna focus more on your left hand. You're probably going to get more worried about your intonation. Well, we're gonna come that in a later point here in this video. But again, so somebody who's a beginner or is not really secure here in the left hand is going to watch the whole time the left hand, but is not really going to pay attention what's happening in the right hand. And then, of course, time by time, we'll forget, of course, that we have to stay at the middle. So here I have a suggestion for you. This is completely up to you, but this is a suggestion. Why don't you take your mobile, or I don't know, a camera if you have, you record yourself when you're playing this, and then you watch afterwards, and then you control, like, did I really stick at the middle of or not? So this is something that you really can do. Another alternative is, which actually I wanted to give you as the first option, is if you have a mirror where you can see yourself in front, then perfect. Like this you can watch yourself during your practice, and you can check like, so I start here, but let's say that after a couple of bars you're playing over here, then no, so I need to really stick over here. Now, the second point here in this exercise is that many people, they make this mistake of playing the whole length of the bow. So try to avoid to play with the whole length of the bow, because what happens if you use the whole length of the bow? This is happening. so on. So what happens when I use the whole length of the bow? I lose control. I lose control about everything, and when I lose control, then I don't get this beautiful, round, deep, clean sound, right? So that's why we want to play this exercise with a concentrated and compact bow. So that means something around, I don't know, 5 centimeters maybe. So a couple of inches. See? So not the whole length of the bow. No, compact. Okay, maybe I exaggerated, not 5 centimeters, you can play 10 centimeters, this is fine. But do it in a small amount of bow, okay? And now the third and the last point here in this exercise is try to get a great bow connection, and this can be really tricky. So what I suggest though to do before you even start with this exercise, in the moment when you are trying to warm up, so playing scales and so on, arpeggios, double stops, play also some open strings. This is good, you know, to work on your bow connection. This is very challenging. So this is something that you really need to pay attention here in this exercise, the bow connections. Because what happens if you don't have a good bow connection? Of course, I'm gonna exaggerate, but it's better that I exaggerate so you really can hear the difference. Most of the people, when they don't have a good bow connection, this happens. No, so you need to find this one. And this is all about the control of your fingers, so especially the index finger and the pinky, so you need to feel that. I made tutorials about this, about the index finger, so if you watch my other Feuillard tutorials, you're gonna find it, okay? So like this, you know what I'm talking about. Now we go to the 3 points for the left hand. So here we also have 3 points as for the right hand. So the first point over here is play this exercise with strong articulated fingers, not only in this exercise, but in all kind of cello repertoire. So I'm gonna show you an example when it's very good articulated and another example where there's no articulation at all. So what is the difference between articulated fingers and non-articulated fingers? When you articulate, so when you play, when you use force in your fingers, when you use strength, that means that you're gonna have more precision, and when you're gonna have more precision, then your intonation gets better as well. So remember, this is crucial. Play this exercise with strong articulated fingers. So no spaghetti or no jelly. No, strong fingers, like hammering something. Right, this was the first point. Second point for the left hand here is that always prepare the next finger. So always get ready to hit the next note. What do I mean with that? So I'm gonna show you. Pay good attention to my left hand and see what happens. What do I mean with prepare the next note? So here I showed you this example. So if you watched really into detail to my left hand, then you could notice that I was preparing. So I play the first note, then the next note, but I'm preparing with my other finger for the next note. Now I'm ready with the pinky because I'm gonna hit with it. And my second finger now is ready in position. Right? So one more time. Ready, 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 the first finger. Now the pinky. Okay, so this is important because what happens if you're not prepared in advance? When you are not prepared in advance, then you can have some coordination problems like this one. So hesitations, insecurity, so this we all want to avoid. So always remember to do with anticipation. And lastly, we have here mini shifts. Well, that's the name that I give to it, but probably there's another name for it. I just don't know how it's called. But showing to you, you're gonna know what I mean. So with mini shifts, what do I mean here? So here in this exercise, if you have the book with you, check out bar number 3. Yes, and measure number 3. So we have this one. Right? So what happens? Pay attention to the first 2 notes of measure number 3. We see on the first note there's a 4 written, so that means with the pinky, so that note must be played with the pinky. Okay, but then next note is the same note, but we use another finger. So did you see what happened? That. This is what I call a mini shift. So if you know the right name for it, please let me know in the comment section below. So this one now do I mean. So what happens here? So here in this exercise we see often this figure. So we play the same note but we change finger. So again, like the previous point is that you need to prepare in advance. So for instance here, this example, we play with the pinky. But our third finger, the ring finger, because that's the finger that we're gonna use for the next note, is pressing. It's like, get the hell out of here. And then he's pushing away. See, that's how I do it. So I put them together and push them away. Don't go too far because you need to hit the same note. If you go too far, this happens. Oh, see, so you're already like almost 1 tone higher. Or don't. No, so what I suggest you to do, practice this separately. So try to find here the hidden moments. So here, for instance, in the first line, I'm gonna give you this as a spoiler. So the third measure, we have this, and we practice this separately. Right? Ah, yes, sorry. So when we go up, I explained to you, but when we go down, I didn't explain to you. So in this case, let's take the measure number 3. So pinky, press, so squeeze together and push. Now, oppositely, same thing but opposite. So we want to slide with our pinky. So we put really close to each other and what happens next? Push. There it goes, see? So try to do this for the whole exercise. Try to find these passages, these mini shifts as I call them, and then you do this. Practice separately. Good, so that was actually it for this exercise. That was the main exercise. But before we're gonna close this class, I just wanna talk quickly about these 3 small variations that we have here. So if you see under the exercise, so under the number 24, we see variante, 1, 2, 3. So 3 variations. I'm gonna go quickly to each one of them so you know on what to practice, so you don't get lost when you play this. Right, so I start here with number 1. So here, as you could see, again, don't use too much bow. So stay at the middle, stay concentrated, not the whole length of the bow, so really focused. Second problem here is that it's easy, you know, to play not in rhythm. So it's easy to play this like triplets. So check this out. Many people would do this. See, so bam, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But that's not the case here. The case here is 16 notes. 1, tan, 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 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, bam, 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 1, 2, 3. this is important that you need to pay attention. Now, variation number 2 is this one. So same thing as the first variation, pay attention to the rhythm. So don't play pom pom 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. No, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 yum pam 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 pam. So be very disciplined about that. Now here, this is another bowing. So the first variation we had it more slurred, right? But now we have dotted. Right, so first step what you want to do is just to play the first beats, right? So these ones. And so on. But how to play them? So, because it's easy just to play like this. No, I want them short. So how can we do these notes short? So you press a little bit with your index finger, right? You press and release, press and release, press and release. So don't press like that and no, not this. Press and release. It's like, you know, buff a gunshot. Or I don't know, like if you're doing with an arrow, with a crossbow and an arrow, buff like that. I don't know. And then you do the 16th note, so this, separately. So you do first down, up, right? And then up, down. So of course do that a couple of times and then you make it together. You build it together. So as we did this first, but then alright, so this is not so difficult. Just do that separately and then you puzzle them together. And now the third variation, so the last variation. Let me play this a little bit for you so you have an idea what it is about. So again here, be careful though, when it's, so in the third variation we see some dots up above the notes, right? Of course, immediately we think some kind of a spiccato or some jumpy bow, right? So it's not always the case. Here in this case, I think like in this kind of method, it's really like staccato on the string. So don't start to jump here. Jumping things you're gonna have in later pieces or studies or other methods. But here in this case of Feuillard, I think it's more really basic staccato. So really on the string, pretty dry. So here's the same thing as the one before, so in the number 2. Remember that we had to do this, right? So actually you're kind of practicing already this. So as you did per two notes. What about we do now the double? One more time. Okay, so then you can add this. What is important here is that you have to sit when you have the slurred note. So let me show this a little bit slower. Sit. And again, this is very dangerous, you know, to suddenly, you know, change to the frog or change to the tip. So really stay in the middle. So the whole exercise, including these variations, everything is in the middle. All right, guys, so that's all for today's cello lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, although it's not the most exciting exercise, but still it's very important for, you know, hand development. So these exercises, so these methods like Feuillard, Piatti and others, and so on, they really bring our playing to the next level. Great, next time we're gonna have study number 25. I already took a look into the number 25 and that one is gonna be a nice one. So there are many things happening in the left hand and so on. If you want to already take a look at it, you can take a look and then, okay, you wait until my video will be released of the number 25. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.